Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmaster, or at this rate, Road to FIDE Master series here on the GothamChess YouTube channel. I am currently playing a tournament in New York City. It's January 2025, and it's been a rough one. I don't know what it is over the last two tournaments in New York, but I cannot play chess here anymore. I don't know what happened. But this is going to be this was actually a quite an interesting game, even though the result was maybe not so desired. I wish I could report on following the game with Guess the Move and checking out the bonus secret course that gets you double XP on Chessly to follow and watch along. I wish I could report that stuff with wins, but we have 6 more games, so hopefully I at least win one. Going into this game, I knew who I was playing, hopefully. I was playing somebody named Rose Atwell, who is a strong junior player. I think she's like 15 or 16. But to be honest, I have no idea. Like, she could be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Not a clue. And she's played in the U.S. Girls Juniors. She's played in the U.S. Women's Championship, I think. And she's mostly an E4 player. So I was actually kind of excited to play a Sicilian. But in the first round of the tournament, she did play D4, and I did see that in some of her recent games, she was playing a little bit of D4. I didn't prep D4 at all. I sort of was like, if she plays it, I'll figure something out. Admittedly, off the heels of a pretty shocking loss in the second round, I didn't really know what to do. Like, I could play a Dutch. I could just play like a normal game, which is what I ended up going for. I thought on the second move to maybe play like B6, because I know that she likes to play the Catalan, and so I was like, well, now she can't, just to go here, and this is just the Queen's Indian defense. But whatever, that doesn't really matter. She played the Catalan, and I played something that I played against Pia. Those of you that followed my match in the Battle of Generations, here's another Battle of Generations. I'm twice Rose's age. I'm an old man. And I played Bishop B4. I went back to E7. This is something that has been played a lot at the high level. I wouldn't argue that I'm at a high level, but my opponent is. And here Rose thought for a few minutes and played B3. Generally here, White is playing Bishop F4 and Rook D1. She played B3, which is a completely reasonable and solid move. And Black here basically plays like B6, White goes here, Black can play like A5, Bishop A6, and I was like, here I was sitting at the board and was thinking, is that what I want? Like, do I want kind of like a boring, solid Catalan? And I was like, you know what, let's go here. And the whole point of this is that when she moves the bishop, because she doesn't want the bishop taken, you play F5. Now, I used to play this way back in the day, before some of you were born in like 2019 or 18. This is one of the approaches against the Catalan. It's a little bit ambitious. It's obviously not the best in terms of solidity, but you literally just want to play like G5 and sometimes even H5. And I just figured, like, let's have a fighting game. And right away, she actually, I think, made a mistake. Like, she played H4 pretty quickly, but actually, and for 2 games in a row now, I have an opponent that plays H4. And the second she played it, I was like, there's no way that's a good move. Because White wants solidity here, and one of the ways to kick my knight out is with F2 to F3, which, if you play H4, becomes a lot more difficult, especially if the bishop leaves. So she played H4, and I was like, well, I'm going to go H6, and then I'm going to go G5. And, we traded, and she went here, and now I have to think, right? So, like, we have a position from the opening that is actually quite reasonable. Just so you understand, moves like F4 are not good. I should not be going on a massive attack. I don't have any pieces out yet, so, like, even if she put the bishop on C1, I'm not going to attack her with such an open king. But rather, the point of this is to then make a few preparations. Like, if I could get a few moves to play like B6, maybe bishop b7, and a few more moves, like, I'm actually going to be quite happy. But I did what I've been doing consistently over the last few tournaments, which is spend a little bit too much time here and overthink the position. So I'm going to be totally honest. The first thing that I wanted to play, which is what I ended up playing, was bishop f6. I thought bishop f6 made some sense because I'm just improving the positioning of my bishop. It targets the center. I get a little bit more space for my queen. But I also thought, what if I play rook f7? This move, believe it or not, is the top choice of the computer. And the point is, you know, there's an idea hidden here for white, which is queen c1. And the point of queen c1 is that you want to take my knight and take this. And, okay, the computer's not as convinced as me, but I was thinking, like, what if I played rook f7 to always have a defense and sometimes maybe even an attack on the king? But rook f7 just felt dumb. I was like, is this really the best move that I can play in this position? Like, what about the rest of my pieces? Like, where's my bishop gonna go? Where's my knight gonna go? You know, well, as it turns out, yeah, but it's kind of insane. But rook f7, it came to my mind, and I know, those of you that have watched me play over the board tournaments, you know at this point. I thought about it. I also thought about just b6 right away. I ended up settling on bishop f6. She went rook d1, which I thought was a reasonable move. And again, I had a thought because I was thinking, do I play rook f7? I also had a thought to leave the center and not let her take and transform the pawn structure. I thought it was actually kind of reasonable, but I didn't know how to deal with queen c1. And yeah, the computer wants to play knight f7. I'm not sure I would have been able to successfully put my knight on f7. That just feels very passive, but it makes some sense. So bishop e3, bishop f6, and then I was like, all right, queen e7. I mean, I have to make a move. And I was ready for her to go queen c1. Again, the same idea, queen c1. I was going to take, and probably play like b6 or something, or maybe play rook f7 and rook g7 now. But this is like the position that I completely prepared myself for. I had other ideas, like I even considered b5. And after take, knight takes, actually just something like bishop b7 and rook c8, and I'm a pawn down, but I have some compensation. But ultimately, I did what I always do. I kind of overthought it, but it's fine. The position is still balanced, and she went here. And I realized that she wants to play f3, obviously. I didn't quite know what to do. Like, my original intention here was... I don't even know what it was. Like, I considered g4, but that just runs right into f3. So then I considered bishop g7, because the idea of bishop g7 is f3 is now met with f4, which is a problem. And after pawn takes, the bishop is hanging, and if the bishop moves, I go here, and this is terrible for white. So I wanted to go bishop g7. That was the first thing that I planned, bishop g7. Yeah, I could have played it. And then on queen c1, I can actually play bishop h6 and push f4. So I thought about this. Then I realized I have a better move. And the thought crept into my head, like, am I setting up a good move? Or am I doing the thing I always do, which is when a devious thought enters my brain and I don't think it through and I make a mistake. I realized I can play e5, and it is the best move, and I did play it. And I also thought about c5, and basically the point of e5 is Rose now runs out of time. If she tries to play f3, I play f4, I play e3. This is like a enormous cluster. And if she takes my pawn, I get my knight to g4, and I'm doing fantastic because I just solved the problem of two pieces at once. So when I found e5, I was very happy. I just didn't know whether I should play c5, takes, and ignore this and put my knight there straight away. Just gambit a pawn, but activate my knight, activate my bishop, and just be a pawn down, but have good chances on the king side. So I played e5, she pushed, and I took, because I thought it was logical. I also thought about c5, but this felt a little bit slow. And at this point, I realized Rose has two ideas. She doesn't just have f3. She also has this nice idea, g4. And the point of g4 is basically, if I push and attack the bishop, that's great. But when the bishop leaves, my pawn's dead. I'm just going to lose a pawn. So I was totally aware that g4 and f3 existed. I was aware that if I took, Rose here needed to play rook takes. She had to take with the rook because now I can't move my knight so easily. So what I was going to do here is play b6 and maybe bishop b7 and knight c5. That was my plan. But she took with the c pawn. And I was like, really? Now, there is an engine line here that is minus 1.63, but I'm going to show it to you because it's so ridiculous. I didn't even begin to consider it, and I'm not even sure top grandmasters can consider it. So, the way you stop g4 here is by playing queen h7. And when white plays g4, black plays king f7 to try to play rook h8 and deliver mate. And then the line goes something like f3, and then there's like f4, and then there's like f takes e4. You can like sack the bishop, and you white sacks the bishop but doesn't get mated. But yeah, apparently queen h7 is a thing, and white can play like f4 and or like f3, f4, g takes, and yeah, I mean basically I play queen h7. And allegedly, king f7 and here, and I have some strong attack. Which is bananas. Like, pawn takes f5, and now I don't even play rook h8. I play g4 first. f4 to escape. Now I play rook h8. Rook f2, g3. Rook f3, sacrificing the rook to survive. Like, yeah, it's kind of nuts, but queen h7, king f7, rook h8 is some sort of... Yeah, I didn't even like I thought about, attacking on the H file in the long run, but yeah, queen h7, king f7. And it's also important it's not king g7. Like apparently king g7 is wrong after this. You have to put the king on f7, which is anyway, I did something stupid here. I played this, which is a terrible move. Remember, I told you my idea was b6, bishop b7 here, and I blundered. Again, I was aware that Rose was preparing the move g4, but in my mind, I thought g4, f4, the bishop moves. I put my knight on c5, I defend the pawn. If b4, I can even play like knight b7. This is hanging. So bishop b4, I can even play knight d6 or here. So I was totally happy. Like cd5, I was like b6, knight c5, boom, I'm going to get all my pieces out. I should have went here. Like, at the very minimum, I should have went there. Or I could have went bishop g7 to, again, have f4 ready. And I so stupidly blundered that she can play this now. Because when I push, there's this. And now I'm losing. And I was really annoyed. I was like, man, this is really, like, frustrating. It's really frustrating. Because some of the moves that I'm not expecting by my opponent are not the best move. But I just like somehow don't adapt to the situation. And I miss the small details. And even if I didn't play queen h7, which is ludicrous, like, even queen d6 is a better move just to block the pawn. But yeah, of course, like g4 is at least better. And then f3, we have to like calculate maybe bishop g5. I don't know. And even here, what I played was not the best. Like playing here was not a good move. I should have at least let her waste time taking and then played like rook c8. And even though I'm down 2 pawns, well, actually, there's bishop e2. I'm not even down 2 pawns. So yeah, g4, f4 take here, and even here, I was gonna play queen e6, but that loses everything. It loses everything because I thought queen e4, rook b8, she has to move the bishop. No, she has check here, and she wins my queen, and I never get to take this pawn with check. So right away, I was like, that's crazy. I'm going to lose this game. Oh my God. What am I? I'm down a clean pawn. But then I went here and I was like, wait a minute. This is not so simple. Like I'm definitely worse. And yes, the computer agrees, but that pawn is hanging. This pawn is not really clear if it's an asset or a liability. Like, I'm going to surround it. I'm going to put pieces next to it. And she went here, which was not the best move. And I went here thinking, now is my moment. Like, now I need a few clutch moves, and I'm trying to play a little faster so I don't get into a time trouble. So I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. My first idea here, e4. I ultimately didn't like e4. By the way, the idea is that if takes, there is a hanging pawn here and I get some counterplay. I didn't like e4 because I thought she could at least go here, and my king is a little bit weak, and I didn't like that. So then I had another thought, which was bishop b7. Bishop b7, rook b7, start consolidating around the pawn. Engine doesn't like it, but I wasn't so sure. And then I had another idea, which was like, what if I just go here? Just make a move, you know, improve my position a little bit slowly. But then I was like, I might run out of time. She's going to go after my knight. I don't know. And so I was like, oh, well, here's a really nice, I'm just going to attack her pawn. Easy, right? Just going to attack the pawn. So I did that. And my brain was just like, she has to move the bishop. She either has to go here or here. And when she goes here, I'm going to go e4. Or I'm going to go bishop b7. Or I'm going to create counterplay. And she went here. And I was like, oh my God. Didn't even, like, move didn't even cross my mind. Like, I looked. I was like, well, b4 is not a problem. Like, ever. I just, you know, I put my knight on d4. Which is that. I thought about playing a5, but it felt a little slow. And yeah, I went queen d7, and now I was like, oh, I'm losing now. Oh, wow. Because now my knight has to move. Now she gets another free move against my queen. Now she goes here, and now she locks in her bishop. And I just let her play all of that. I mean, once I blundered b4, it played itself, the next three moves. And now this is the position. I can't get rid of this pawn, and if I take, she gets two connected pawns in my territory. And I was sitting there like, wow. I can't believe I just did that. That's nuts. I completely did not need to do that. So when I play slow, I make mistakes. When I play fast, I make mistakes. I'm just playing like garbage. It doesn't, there's no speed, you know? It's not even a matter of that. It's just, yeah, bad form. So at this point, I was like, well, I'm going to go here. This is what I want to do. The point is, I would like to play knight d4 or knight c5. I'm going to get rid of this pawn, and then we're going to play chess. Like, but it doesn't work because she can go bishop a3. And her next move is bishop d6, and I'm totally busted. I just completely run out of time, which is why I went knight d4. But what better way to beat Gotham chess than by sacrificing your own rook? Very nice idea from her. I set a trap. If she went queen e4 straight away, putting pressure on my bishop, I had this nice move, knight b5. She cannot take. And then knight c3. Computer still thinks this is good, which is kind of mind-blowing. Oh, because she can play bishop c8. Okay. And my knight is sort of stuck. Yeah, but she sacrificed her rook and went here, and I'm totally lost. Kind of epic, to be honest. Nice idea by her. Rook d4, queen e4. My bishop's under pressure. You know, I thought about just, like, putting it here. Then she would have gone here. I would have went here. She would have went here. I had no idea what my next move was. At all. And yeah, there really isn't one. So I did this. I gave up my bishop to at least get a little bit of counterplay against the queen, but everything is safe. And here was my last attempt at trying to do something. Counterplay over here. And I was like, I'm going to checkmate her. She's not going to be able to stop my attack. Nope, she just went rook f2. Nice idea. And now she will at least always be able to trade a rook. This was probably like the last moment. Somewhere here, I could have, I think like here, I could have maybe went queen e6. But white is so solid. It's kind of, like, I cannot attack anything. She has me totally cooked on the light squares. And that's basically what happened. I mean, I went for counterplay, but the knight protects the king completely. Really sucks. And now my queen has to leave, but, you know, white is just going to attack me next. And, yeah, she did that. She activated. It's funny because here, you know, even something like bishop a3 should win because she's threatening queen e8 and some sort of infiltration. But she won in style. She checked my king, and this is just a very nice move, bishop e4. attacks my rook, forces me to take the bishop, and now she wins all my pieces. And not only does she win my pieces, I'm just checkmated because she goes check, I have to go to h7, and now either I go here and get mated, or I go here and get mated. It's mate in two. It's like here and mate, or even bishop e4, and it's just mate. It's mate everywhere. Like on basically every single square is mate. g6, f6, h7, f8, and I got killed, completely killed, and it was all on the heels of allowing this move b4. This is like beginner level stuff. Yeah, I mean, we both were playing fast. We both were trying to, not get into a big time trouble. And I felt like she was up a pawn and I had blundered, but it was not over by any stretch of the imagination. And then I went here, and she got 4 moves in a row. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and white is completely winning. And I was like, I can't believe I just allowed that. That's bananas. And I tried after that, but it was, all hope was lost. The middle game was really, interesting. I actually, I feel bad that I did not play to the level of the position. It was actually a very rich position with a lot of rich ideas. And Pia Cramling, Anna Cramling's mother and grandmaster, who I played in the Battle of Generations, once apologized to me because she was like, I'm not playing up to the level of the match, and I'm sorry I'm making mistakes. And I kind of feel that way about this position because this is a really fascinating position. I really wish I had played rook f7. She had gone here. Maybe I would have went for this b6 thing. But I just I just cannot make a decision properly. And when I do, but it's just not consistent enough. It just really isn't. Even here, I was not making the best choices, but e5 was great. It was a great move. And here I was totally right that cd5 wasn't the best approach. I don't know if I would have found queen h7, but I was pretty convinced rook d5 was going to happen. And even then, going for this pawn sacrifice was also classy. It also would have worked. And yeah, there's some positions. I get my knight to g4, my position's great. And I don't know, somehow I haven't won a normal, I have one normal classical game victory in 20 games. I beat Pia, but it was on time. It wasn't even a normal win. Which is crazy. I don't know what shift kicked in. I was crushing June and July and even August last year. Maybe I just need to play in the summer. I have no idea, but it's weird. I don't know. And I would love to, snap out of it, and I have time to do so. And I'm not going to win every game that I play. I'm going to lose 30% of my games, but I would like to, get back to winning, please. It's really, and the worst part is the last time I had a bad tournament, I was in a GM norm section, so I wasn't losing that much rating. I'm losing a bunch of rating now. It's not cool. I want my points back. So, yeah, that's all I've got for you today. I would love if we had some better news, but in the meantime, got to get back some wins in the next rounds. Get out of here.